K-pop Demon Hunters has taken Netflix by storm in a way nobody expected. The animated action musical about a K-pop group fighting demons quickly became one of the most popular movies in the streaming platform's history. In fact, it went even further than just being a hit. It broke records to become the most watched Netflix movie of all time, surpassing some of the biggest Hollywood blockbusters that had world-famous stars. For a unique film like this to perform at such a level shows just how much power it had, not just in terms of catchy music, but also in terms of storytelling and character appeal. Even though a sequel hasn't officially been announced, it's clear that Netflix is already moving forward with K-pop Demon Hunters 2 because a franchise with this much momentum isn't something the company would just let go. The first movie succeeded for many reasons, and one of the biggest was the music. The soundtrack was a record-breaking success, with songs that became viral hits across social media and streaming platforms. The music pulled in casual fans, but once people actually watched the movie, they found that it wasn't just the soundtrack that made it great. The film's story, its action, and most importantly, its characters made it something special. The villains were intimidating but also stylish. The side characters brought humor and charm, and at the center of it all were the three core members of NTRX6, Rumi, Mira, and Zoey. This trio gave the film its heart, and fans connected with them almost instantly. Their energy, teamwork, and chemistry gave the movie a unique personality that set it apart from other animated films. Still, as great as the first movie was, the sequel cannot just repeat the same formula if it wants to succeed on the same level. The film introduced the world of demons and hunters in a way that was clear and engaging, and it allowed viewers to learn the rules of the universe without feeling overwhelmed. But now that the foundation has been laid, the sequel has more room to take risk. It can shift its focus, explore new emotional arcs, and give fans deeper stories about the characters they already love. This is why one of the most important changes the sequel needs to make is to move away from having Rumi as the sole main character. In K-pop Demon Hunters, Rumi was undeniably the protagonist. She was given the central arc, the biggest challenges, and the most emotional development. We followed her through redemption, her effort to save Jinwoo, and her ultimate heroic stand to protect Mira and Zoey from the terrifying Gui Ma in the finale. It was her journey that carried the film forward, and it made sense that the first movie put her in the spotlight. She was the perfect choice to introduce audiences to this world. However, because the story focused so heavily on her, Mira and Zoey were left on the sidelines. Most of their role in the movie revolved around supporting Rumi's growth and pushing her narrative forward. While this gave the story a strong focus, it also left the other two members of Hentarps underdeveloped compared to Rumi. That's not to say Zoey and Mira didn't make an impact. On the contrary, even in their smaller roles, they managed to stand out. Both showed hints of interesting backstories and strong personalities that could carry entire arcs of their own. This is exactly why the sequel should shift the spotlight onto one of them. The sequel doesn't need to push Rumi out of the picture completely. She can still play an important role in the group, but her personal journey has already been explored in detail. Giving her another central arc might feel repetitive and less impactful. Instead, K-pop Demon Hunters 2 should use this opportunity to explore Zoey or Mira's personal struggles, motivations, and emotional depth. Zoey, for example, is bold, rebellious, and carries herself with a confidence that fans found instantly appealing. There's a sense that her story is far from fully told. Maybe she has her own history with demons, or perhaps she's fighting not just for survival, but for something deeply personal that audiences haven't learned about yet. A Zoey-centered sequel could highlight her fire, her humor, and her more vulnerable side, balancing her tough exterior with moments of real emotional depth. This would allow fans to see her in a new light and expand her role beyond being Rumi's supporting teammate. Mira, on the other hand, has a calmer and more thoughtful presence. She comes across as the one who quietly holds the group together, but the movie never really revealed what drives her to keep fighting. A sequel focusing on Mira could dive into her inner struggles, her motivations for becoming a hunter, and her own unique connection to the world of demons. Exploring Mira's story would bring a different tone to the sequel, more introspective, more emotional, but still filled with the same action and music that fans love. Giving Mira the lead role could help balance out the high energy tone of the first movie with a deeper, more character-driven narrative. The best part of this shift is that it doesn't just make the sequel stronger, it also opens the door for a long-term franchise strategy. With the level of success the first movie achieved, there is no doubt that Netflix is looking at multiple sequels. If that's the case, each film could focus on a different member of Hun TRX, giving each girl her own spotlight while still keeping the group dynamic alive. K-pop Demon Hunters 2 could be Zoey's story. A third film could dive into Mira's backstory. And then later films could bring them all together for an even bigger team focus finale. This approach would keep the series from feeling stale while giving fans new reasons to stay invested in each new release. Fans themselves are already asking for this kind of change. Online discussions often highlight how underused Mira and Zoey felt in the first movie, and many have expressed excitement at the idea of seeing them lead the sequel. Fans love Rumi, but they also want to see the rest of the group fully developed. This isn't just about giving equal screen time. It's about giving fans more reasons to connect with every member of A2NERX. Variety is key to keeping a franchise exciting, and focusing on Zoey or Mira is exactly the kind of bold move that can keep the series fresh. K-pop Demon Hunters is already a cultural phenomenon. It has the music, the action, the emotional heart, and the global fan base to keep growing into something massive. But to reach that potential, the sequel has to be smart. The first movie worked because it was new, different, and focused. The second movie will need to grow beyond that by shifting its perspective and letting someone else lead. Rumi's journey was amazing, but now it's Zoey's or Mira's turn. By giving either of them the spotlight, Netflix can ensure that K-pop Demon Hunters 2 isn't just a repeat of the first, but an evolution of the story that keeps fans hooked for years to come. If Netflix gets this right, K-pop Demon Hunters won't just be one record-breaking hit. It will become a long-lasting franchise that can rival some of the biggest film universes in the world. Fans are waiting, the hype is growing, and now the sequel has the chance to take the story of A2NTRX to a whole new level. The one big change it needs to make is simple: give Zoey or Mira the lead role and let their stories shine.